Okay, I believe we're recording. Welcome back, brothers and sisters. Bienvenidos, Sat Nam. This is the New Rich New Energy Podcast. Have an amazing brother. I'm telling you, you want to put on your seatbelt, get your notepad, get your pen and paper, because this brother that I'm about to introduce, what things that he has discovered and is sharing, to help mankind is going to blow your mind. Not only is he an inventor, a professional, a truther, a speaker of light, but he's also a father. And I can go on and on and on and on. I saw this brother on a couple videos and I'm like, I got to have it on my platform. And here he is today. So I'm very thankful. Welcome you, Santana. Welcome.
Well, I like to be called, if you don't mind, my beautiful Puerto Rican brother, I like to be referred to as Can You Dig It?
Okay. If people don't know, this is the cat daddy. All right.
Not no more, no.
Oh,
the cat daddy retired. My beacon punched me in my face. So
okay, so can you dig it?
I don't have a wife, I have a beacon. So basically, my name is Can You Dig It? Yeah, and I have a weird way of processing things. Right. And whenever I see something, I'm wired in a way where I see the flaw, and I can usually kind of figure out. So I understand systems very well. So I see things, and I'm trying to live a peaceful existence, and life is passing by, and I keep seeing them, and I have to start saying something because I'm waiting for somebody to say something that looks very obvious that no one is seeing, that I'm seeing very clearly, that no one's talking about. Like, for example, America is a country that has a very, very short memory. Like, if you are 45 years and older, you remember back in 1980, there was something called the Atlanta child murders. Now, if you are 30, you don't know nothing about this. But between 1980 and 1983, a whole bunch of children, more than 100 children, were murdered and stolen from the city of Atlanta. Now, if you're under 30, this is probably the first time you're hearing about this. But that should strike you as odd if you're under 30, that you didn't know that there was a system in 1980s that was stealing Black children and murdering them. You've never seen a movie about it. You don't see a book. Why don't you know about this? Because something's going on that's, I'm bringing out because no one's, I'm bringing to anyone's attention, and I just want to bring it to my attention. So get from mommy. Let's do this. So,
not to stop your train of thought, but real quickly, if you want to just introduce yourself to the audience, for the brothers and sisters.
Yeah. So
a bit about you, and we'll get right into it. You know how I do it. So.
Gotcha. So again, my name is Santana, and but I go as Can You Dig It? That's my frequency that I operate under. And I don't really have a title. I do a number of things. I fixed something called unrefractive error, which is a big deal that's being hidden right now, just for a little while. And I read art. And I'm very heavy into healing. And I get my inspiration because I can read the art. And the artist gave you every medical procedure that you can imagine. I mean, even they give you a medical procedure to tell you how to regrow limbs. And it's in the art. And they tell you about all the illnesses, all the sicknesses. For example, humanity doesn't know that 90% of humanity is all suffering from one condition right now that everybody's forgot about, because we're a nation that has a short memory. Every one of us right now is suffering from scurvy and don't even know it. When the vaccine companies tell you that vaccines do not cause autism, they are telling you the truth. They are telling you the truth because it is not autism. So this thing they call autism isn't real. You notice that the symbol for what they're calling autism is a bunch of puzzle pieces, because it's meant for you to put together some pieces or some puzzles to get together at the bottom of all this trickery. I've saved you some time and a whole bunch of heartache and a whole bunch of money to have done the work for you to tell you what you're looking at. So when you're looking at autism, Parkinson's, cancer, everything you're looking at, you're all looking at the same thing. We get into the beginning of illness, and the beginning of illness is a character by the name of Vitruvio, Marcus Vitruvius Polio, the Vitruvian man. He's the beginning of illness. But before you get to any of that, you get what you're seeing in humanity and it's being sick. So what happens is this. People don't realize that scurvy was the AIDS of the 17th, 18th, and 19th century. There was no cure for it. You just died. So people who were experiencing scurvy mainly were people who were at sea, because 3 months worth of vitamin C, when your body does not receive vitamin C for 3 months, it starts going into shutdown condition. It's scurvy. However, scurvy still to today cannot be detected. So your body is dying every day because it's not getting the vitamin C that it needs to be able to do what it does. And because of the onset of the scurvy, it's not getting up to the brain the way it needs to get to. So every day we're getting sicker and sicker. So when we have things like diabetes and things that we're calling like autism and Parkinson's, all of it's underlying scurvy. We all have it and it's not detectable. So if you know a person with cancer, autism, Parkinson, go and get a bag of oranges this big.
Yeah, this man is about to put y'all on.
I want you to eat 6 oranges every day, drink orange juice, lime juice, do this for a month. Any medical condition you have underlying is done. Everything you see from Parkinson's, diabetes, like diabetes is a situation where people are sick, the blood flow issues, and you have a hard time healing and your wound healing. Well, the wound healing issue isn't diabetes, it's scurvy. All of it is scurvy. It puts us in a condition where anything can attach ourselves to us. But what happens is the vaccines do it to the body, where basically it's almost a reset. And once the vaccines are introduced, they prevent your body from absorbing vitamin C. So after 3 months of no vitamin C, you get scurvy. But what happens is you don't feel it. You don't see it. There's no test. It's undetectable. But you're getting sicker, and you're dying. It's the whole thing. So it's all a trick, but it's scurvy. You tell them people who have children home who have autism, you got Parkinson, give them lemons and limes and oranges. And the reason why, so speaking from a parent with a child who they say have autism, I know firsthand how this whole thing works. My son got the shot and 3 hours later, he was brain dead. I went to the doctor the very next day. The doctor says, oh my God, it was the vaccines. And I'm like, so what? She was like, well, he got autism. He can't do nothing about it. So here's how it works. And here's the fuckery involved in it. So if you had an experience and had your child poisoned by this government, when they want to say, once you take them to the doctor, because I was just being a good father and took my son to the doctor. Weird thing, right? And let's say they got shot up and all of a sudden they walked in the office talking and then got carried out and they're just doing nothing but shaking, right? Well, here's the funny thing about this thing they call it autism. You realize that they don't keep the children in the hospital? So I want you to think about this for a second. A child comes into your hospital shaking and not speaking anymore. And they just say, oh, that's autism. He can't be cured or she can't be cured. You take him home. And that's always rubbed me the wrong way because I'm thinking like, wait a minute, I watched the show House. I know, aren't there smart people around who are looking at different diseases, trying to pinpoint this, that, and the other? But I noticed that these children that you say have autism, that you're calling autism, you send them home. So it always rubbed me the wrong way because like, why are we hooking them up to a machine to just take a look at them? Well, the reason why they send them home is simple. They send them home because the vitamin C levels, the levels aren't going to be a constant level for them. If you're in the hospital for long enough, they're going to be able to see your levels are not right and they're going to be able to know, okay, vitamin C. Let's give them an IV bag of vitamin C. We're good. So what they do is, no, they send you home and says no cure. And you have no idea that they're getting worse every day, and they're going to continue to get worse every day because there's no way of monitoring the levels. Think about it. If you had food poisoning and went to the hospital, they keep you in the hospital for a couple of days. Something happens to you in the hospital for a couple of days because they have to try to figure out what's going on because they know. But when you show up with your child shivering and shaking and no longer talking, they say, oh, it's no cure, just take them home. So like, you don't want to test them? You don't want to do anything? Nope, that's just it. There's no cure, that's it, that's just it. And so it always rubbed me the wrong way. So looking at the whole way the hospitals work, the hospitals and the whole system is a lie, it's a setup. When we're in the hospital, you don't realize we're being stalled, and it's a con game, it's a shell game. When you're in a hospital, they're not treating you with medicine, they're lying to you. You're being stalled. The main thing you're doing in a hospital is the most important things to the body. Is you're starving your body and you're resting. You go to the hospital and you don't know it, but they're stalling you the whole fucking time. You go there and say something's wrong, and they say, okay, no problem. We'll sit back and don't eat or drink anything for the next 3 hours. We'll be back to check on you. So then you get there in 3 hours, they say, okay, all right, this looks good. I'm going to sign a paper to get someone to come and get you a drink. So then 2 hours go past, and then you don't realize you waited 6 hours just to get a drink of water because they know that your body's going to reset on its own. And when your body starts going into starvation mode, it starts healing itself. You don't believe me? Go do the Wim Hof process, and you'll find out that your body starts healing itself when it's deprived of oxygen and when it's in starvation mode. That's the reason why when they tell you to go to the hospital for a surgery in the morning, they tell you the day before, don't eat anything and get here early in the morning because your body is going to do it on its own. Despite them cutting into you, this system has got us, but it's so bad that it's so diabolical that it's genius, but it's so ugly that it's heartbreaking because we've got a system full of professionals who are purposely doing it. We know that. But what me and you, I don't know if you know that it's Black people. Everybody is pointing at a white man, brother. No, sir. It's Black people. This whole thing, all of this system is Black people. Broke my heart because my family's Black.
Well,
you know, everybody you know Black.
Yeah.
But when I say they fucked us up, brother.
Yeah, it's fabricated.
They fucked us up with the skin thing. They fucked us all up because they made people think this race thing is real. And none of it is real. It's just a distraction. All of it's a distraction for, it's a Masonic covenant, of course. But everyone is looking at the Masons. And it's not the Masons. It is the Masons, I'm sorry. But it's not the men. The people who are running this thing, y'all calling the cabal and who's in Rome and the Illuminati, it is the Eastern Star Mason females. It's them. It's them and the Shriners together. They are pulling all of the strings. The Eastern Star Masonic females are order of Black women, and the Shriners is order of Masonic older white men. Now, if you think that this is a crazy man talking to you, I challenge you to go online and try to find anything about either one of the organizations because they got the Freemasons and everything in front of it, but those are the two. Those are the two. And everyone, this is going to connect to the end if it seems like I'm rambling, but we have a short memory on what was going on. Back in the 80s and 90s, we had this thing called SIDS, which we called Sudden Infant Death Syndrome. So then, Sudden Infant Death Syndrome, people start looking into them like, wait a minute. I'm noticing that kids are going to their doctors and dying the day they're getting their shots. So they stopped using the word SIDS. Like, I understand that SIDS was being used like COVID is being used. But now, all of a sudden, one day, all the newspapers, all the news outlets, magazines, television, the word SIDS disappeared. And no one questioned it. It didn't get cured. Then we got this new thing called autism coming on. So I'm going somewhere with this very crazy story, but all of it is connected. All of it's connected because we don't know what's going on. And it broke my heart because I found out in a very terrible way that we are participating in human sacrifices. And I'm like, as crazy as it sounds, I've been hearing so much about it. And I had to look into it myself because I wanted to be able to disprove it because I didn't want to believe it because it sounds so sensational and nonsensical that you couldn't wrap your mind around it. But brother, I'm not sure if you're old enough to remember the Atlanta child murders.
I do.
You do? Okay. So the young folks are going to trip because they were like, what do you mean? It was killing babies? And it was like, yeah, yes. And I don't know if you remember, do you know what happened? Who went to jail for that?
I don't.
They arrested a guy who they pinned 2 murders of 2 white guys on and threw all of the children's murders under this one case for this one guy. Now the murders went on before, during, and after the trial, but they still blamed it on the guy who was in prison. You understand? Now you say, wow, that's fucked up, right? They did that to a nigga, right? That's what you think, because that's what we're supposed to think. But you gotta understand something. If you was alive when I was alive, you remember when those Atlanta children was being snatched. You had your mother and father there, right? And remember when them children was being snatched, your parents would not let you out the house for months at a time, right?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. So how in the fuck can you steal 100 children from Atlanta and murder them from the epicenter of Atlanta while it's going on? And my black ass from Baltimore can't go outside for 3 months. Why would the parents in Atlanta let their children out, brother, when you know that wherever you was in the world, you couldn't go outside for months because of those child killing, brother? Mm-hmm. Then it dawned on me, shit, we're part of this shit too. And when I say we, I mean this black community, your community too. We're the same anyway. We're cousins.
Brother, absolutely. All this is fabricated. Like it gets so deep that people don't want to believe when it comes to like the black heritage that they're indoctrinating.
It's all a lie.
It's all a lie.
It's all a lie.
Nat Turner is fabricated. Harriet Tubman is fabricated. This is all in the archives. You can go look it up in our national archives. It's stories. But then people think they're real, just like, correlating it to the Bible, like Jesus being a real, like these are stories fabricated.
Can I tell you who Jesus is? Can I tell you who Jesus is?
Yeah, tell me your definition. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So here's I'm not even going to discuss it, but language is beautiful, and I'm learning more about it. And words are beautiful, and frequencies are beautiful.
Love etymology.
Here's my belief. We're ascending to this thing, right? But I'm in a healing spirit, and things come to me when I talk to God. And I got something to let you last night because I'm looking at the words, and I'm thinking about the Christ and the Christos and the Christos, and I'm just looking at different versions of the Christ. And I'm sitting here thinking, with these diseases, so understand, brother, what I'm saying is what the fuck it is. Rest assured, all that shit, autism, cancer, all that shit's done. And I'm giving it all on your shit. So understand, not your shit, but your podcast, this lovely thing you're doing. So what I'm telling you, as crazy as it may sound, it's right. It's right as fuck. But with the Christos, I'm looking at the words, I'm studying the words, and I realize, Christos. And I'm looking at the origins and trying to figure out what Christos. And I'm trying to correlate it to healing because I've been working on this frequency to try to figure something out. And I'm like, I just found scurvy. And scurvy sent me to, Basquiat. Oh my God, Basquiat showed me scurvy. Wait till I say, oh my God, it's Basquiat.
He was just out here in Orlando.
Man, wait till I show you Basquiat. But Basquiat showed me scurvy. And I know for scurvy, you treat scurvy with vitamin C. And high doses of it fully reverses it. So if you have diabetes and you reverse your scurvy, your diabetes is gone. As your cancer, as your AIDS, as your every damn thing. The only thing I haven't really got figured out is mental retardation as of yet. But I haven't looked into it because I found that everything is fixable. Down syndrome, mental retardation, it's a chromosomal thing. But brother, everything is fixable. I haven't gotten to that as of yet. Getting back to the crystals, it took me back to the oranges. It took me back to the lemons, and I realized the vitamin C. How do we get the vitamin C? And we need the citrus. So I'm looking at the word crystals, and I'm looking at the word citrus, and I'm thinking this is awfully close. Now this is just my whole thing, so this isn't in stone. But I'm thinking about, if I'm listening to the message and he has the ability to heal all wounds. The cool thing about vitamin C is everyone has scurvy. Even you, even as healthy as you have scurvy, and it's not detected. You get your vitamin C levels up, anything underlying goes away. And here's the cool thing about vitamin C. This big ass bag of oranges you saw, I can eat the whole thing. And whatever I don't eat, I'll piss out.
Exactly.
So it just got me to thinking, what else can you have as much as you want and it does no harm to you? The Christ and the citrus, the Christos and the citrus. So I'm like, man, maybe this is what he's talking about, because like, in order for this to do what it needs to do for you and humanity, you literally have to level up from feet all the way up and get your whole body leveled together work. So once your levels is right, all of your illness is gone. So I'm like, wow, this citrus and the Christos is sounding pretty awesome. Now, that's just a theory, but nonetheless, that's just a theory, something I was thinking about. But gosh, I lost track where we're going with the, go ahead. These Atlanta murders, right? Now, you remember, I was living in Baltimore, and we lived in an apartment complex in Baltimore called Lakebrook Circle. And Lakebrook Circle was just like a regular ghetto complex, and it has a fence around it. And we had a lake that enclosed our complex, in the middle of our complex. So we were protected. We still couldn't go outside of our house because all of our mothers was too scared to let us outside. So why in the fuck, if children are being stolen from Atlanta, brother, why are parents from Atlanta still letting their children out? So it got me to thinking, and that's the last thing you want me to do is start thinking. And I said, you know what? I wonder if everyone says, can you dig it, is the crazy person, and they're right, the best way to make them prove how crazy I am is to just show them how numbers do. So forget how crazy I am, and let's just look at some numbers. Let's look at the magical number 13. Number 13, the number of change, 13 colonies, 13 apostles be counting Jesus. But 13 is an important number, but it's also an important number. For example, Oklahoma City basketball team, right? You ever been to Oklahoma City?
No, I haven't.
You know why? I need to light it. You can see me? Baby, you're beautiful. I don't care if you see me here.
No.
Oh, but all right. You ever been to Oklahoma City? I got the lighter.
Yeah.
You know why you never been to Oklahoma City? Because it is a piece of shit.
I was gonna say, because I'm Rican. I belong out here in the sun. You know what I mean?
Yes, you do, my brother. So, have you ever asked a question like, how did Oklahoma City get an NBA team when there's much better cities out here? Correct, brother?
That's a good question.
Well, I got a better answer for you if you're interested.
Absolutely.
You should see what happened 13 years before they got their team. And you're going to find something called the Timothy McVeigh Oklahoma City bombings. You're going to find that Hiroshima and Nagasaki 13 years afterwards, were given the automobile industries. You're going to find that Rwanda, 13 years after the Rwanda genocide, they got the best economy, safest country in Africa. You're going to find that Pearl Harbor, 13 years after Pearl Harbor, they've just got statehood, brother. They have been sacrificing us. Oh my fucking God. Listen, I found so much shit. So here's how it works. Trayvon Martin, here's a question for anybody who likes you. Find out who has Trayvon Martin's heart. I know who has it. Find out who got his fucking heart. That was a sacrifice. That wasn't a murder. That was a fucking sacrifice. Also, I want you to understand that O.J. Simpson did not kill his ex-wife, Ron Brown. If I was you, I would look for the woman who did it, because a woman did it, and it was a sacrifice, by the way. Look at the crime scene and the pictures of O.J. Simpson's trial, and you're going to look at them, and you're going to see the remnant to our good friend Basquiat. You're going to see the O.J. Simpson crime scene in Basquiat's art. How the fuck you know about in the future? Because Basquiat is better than Nostradamus. Gonna get to some more with you. So a woman did that. Was not a, I don't want to give too much away, but they're soul harvesting us, brother. They fucking us up. So here's how it works. They say you get what you ask for, right? You want prosperity? You gotta sacrifice. Now, that isn't necessary, but to operate under this matrix that the people who are controlling this thing does, that's necessary for them to do what they're doing. Like my man Derek Chauvin killed George Floyd. They killed him because it was all set up. That was a sacrifice. The more public the sacrifice, the bigger your reward. And the sacrifices they love the most are babies and Black men.
Yeah, that's why if you look at, I've been knowing this about music, especially its deep sacrificial practices in music, especially in sports. But when you see those two artists, what's his name? The one who sings, "We're just ordinary people," him and his wife.
Yeah.
That life sacrifice they did with the baby. That's all that was. Because
listen, brother, all of them doing it. Yeah. Einstein sacrificed his baby.
Yeah.
Einstein.
That's the highest echelon to them.
It is. It is. So what they're doing, the reason why you know that Floyd's was sacrificed is because the creator is smarter than these clowns. I'm gonna tell you something, brother. You are blessed because they have eyes to see through all of this. You see all of it. But the creator told you before it was gonna happen that they was gonna do it, because while he was choking, you kept seeing Minneapolis police behind it. And Minneapolis is nothing more than my need a police. Spell it out. My need a police. It's already written. It's the scripture. The script's already written. I gotta peek at some shit. So if you look at these major events, let me give you something to look at, and y'all wanna just freak the fuck out, because history don't remember any of this. People don't read. Cleveland, Jesus Christ. They killed so many children in Cleveland. I took some notes down to show you that if you want economic prosperity, then you got to kill for it. And places like Chicago, places like New York, places like Baltimore, that's why you got to have all the death all the time. Because if you want a basketball team, you need to do a big public display, kill a bunch of children. That's how Oklahoma City got their basketball team, okay? If you want to be the first city to have legalized marijuana, you make Columbine happen 13 years earlier. If you want to be the first bank in the world, the first city in the world to have a surveillance camera around your store, the first in the world, and be the first to capture a bank robbery on camera, you do it in Cleveland. and 13 years prior, you'll see a train exploded. They had 3 separate gas explosions in separate different events, 20 years apart in Ohio, that killed more than 600 people, brother. And one of them was done on September the 11th. Can you dig it? September the 11th. Can you dig it?
It is.
So what I'm saying, brother, is this. That black shit is bullshit. And the white shit is bullshit. All of this is a lie. We're all being lied to. The Canadian truckers out in Canada are the Autobots. That's where we get the story Transformers from. Because the truckers are transforming the world, literally. And that's Optimus Prime when you're looking at the Canadian truckers. All this shit's in their movies. So that the Transformers are really the truckers. And you know why things are working in Canada? Things are working in Canada because me and you ain't there. See, in Canada, it's white as shit. You understand? They got a couple Caribbeans sprinkled in who stay in the house because it's cold. But in Canada, it's all white. So they can't play the game they play with me and you all the time by introducing a nigga or Puerto Rican in they shit. So when Trudeau try to kick it with everybody and like, oh, they're Nazis and racist, they're like, what the fuck? That's my cousin. That's my cousin. We make maple syrup together. I know him. What do you mean? So they couldn't play that game they play here anytime anything goes on. So they keep humanity fucked up by putting people next to each other who don't like each other. And people like me and you, we give America exactly what they need. Because when anything takes place, if anybody, like white people are fucking themselves up terribly because they don't realize the stand your ground law was not meant for me and you. It was meant for them to kill each other. You understand? What's that guy who just Rittenhouse just killed somebody like that? That wasn't black people.
Yeah, that was a kid with a high power, right? You know what's crazy about Canada now that you're going on this 13 thing? Because I follow this stuff too. Did you know that they lowered the age of consent for a child in Canada to the age of 13?
Of course they did. Of course they did.
It's connected now that you're talking about it, but yeah.
Oh yeah, but guess what? Canada has shown, you see, people don't realize Canada saved the world. Yeah. I'm gonna send you something called a movie called The Thalidomide Crisis. I'm gonna send you something that when you see it, you're gonna say, how did this happen? And what I'm doing, I'm a systems guy. Meaning I worked inside all the systems, entrenched in the systems everywhere. Prison, medical, I get in there. Like, if you tell me something, cool, perfect. Just tell me what you're telling me because I need to see for myself. So I happen to be in a precarious situation right now. I happen to have cured something real important. I may happen to have cured the most expensive thing on the planet that people don't even know about. And because of that, life has got tricky. Simultaneously, I happen to work for a system where I witnessed corruption in the trillions, and I am a whistleblower. So I'm in a weird situation where everyone has now ignore me because if they expose the technology that I fixed that prevents blindness, the whole world gets blindness prevented right now. Then it's going to shed light to the prisons. And if it sheds light to the prisons, then my system is already in the prisons. And as you know, people who get out of prison, the biggest problem is recidivism. They can't find a job. Well, my system trains them in the prison. And when they get out, they'll be making money in the prison and they'll have a job already ready for them when they get out because they're trained and certified by me for free. But you got to understand that that's a system. So the eyeglasses part, now I had the contract to do the entire country of India. Glasses, the entire country of India. That connected back to the prisons in Maryland and in Florida, because that's where I work, Arizona, all those places, because that's their system in place that they got to keep churning this because we're feeding a machine, the same machine that we're feeding with all the murder, that pain is still feeding the same system. So by providing cheaper, better glasses to the prisoners, it boosts their self-esteem. That's number one. But number two, I provide them with a job, which means that they don't have to go rob, shoot, and steal anymore, which means that the system that you got of suffering crumbles. So they won't acknowledge that blindness has been resolved because it breaks the system of prisons. Now, they don't have to acknowledge it. I might be tiny bit smarter than them, and not because of schooling, it's because God talks to me, and if I don't do what God tells me to do, God be like, you're not gonna listen? No problem, do it your way. And then I cry about it, so I just listen, I just obey. So whenever I need something, if I need something, I just go and say, hey, I do my thing, and we talk, and I come back with the answers. And the other day, I needed to answer to a particular question, and I look at the artwork, I see the art, and it's like, oh my God. So I had to back up from the artwork because I see so much that it's overwhelming. And I'm looking at Basquiat again, and I stop at jazz horn players. It's three of them. He got a picture of Dizzy Gillespie, I believe Bird, and I forgot, but it's three jazz players. And I'm looking at the picture, and I'm talking to the picture, and it's asking them, just show me what you're saying. And I'm getting frustrated, and I'm mad, and now I'm cussing the picture out because it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and I got twins. So of course I need my rest, but I got me in a picture of fighting. So I'm looking at Basquiat, and I'm furious. And then I see, oh my God. So what I've been looking at pops right in. And then when it directed me to everything, I was like, God damn, Basquiat. So Basquiat is who showed me how scurvy is the underlying disease of all mankind. I swear to God to you, I promise you, when this goes out, this is history. Everything that mankind has, every disease, every illness, started with Vitruvian, because the introduction of the mercury is what did it. It's always been the mercury. Tahuti was a great teacher. He was the teacher, but when the Greeks got him, they, instead of using Tahuti, they turned him to mercury, and they started poisoning us with mercury. And humanity started getting sick when we started having doctors. We didn't get sick until we had doctors. Like the same way you didn't have prisoners until you built jails. You understand? Prisoners, like there was 30 million people here, and there was no such thing as the word jail. There was no such thing as a prisoner. But then once you create a jail, you create a prisoner. And when you create a doctor, you create a patient. But it's been the doctors. And the worst part about it is the way they're able to get away with it is because of me and you. You're a beautiful brother. Everybody hate on you. Can you dance?
Absolutely.
No, yeah, you're the problem. So anytime anything goes wrong, they get to say, yeah, that Puerto Rican, with his arroz con pollo was, sexually gyrating at some woman. You understand? Yeah. And I guess to get everybody hearing what they need them to hear. So we know that whatever happened to that Puerto Rican who was just doing the salsa, he got what he deserved. You understand? So no matter how ridiculous things happen, they can always interject us in the conversation and make people say, okay, well, let me consider what you're saying. Because any circumstance where a 28-year-old grown man who has Kung Fu training and has a gun chases a child and hunts him and kills a child, and you have to question whether or not it's murder, that only gets questioned when you inject you or me. So we lose our fucking minds. So what ends up happening is they let white people do it to themselves. And since white people said that shit was cool, they inadvertently, that was a trap for them. It's a setup. And I'm trying to let you know, listen, all this shit is a setup. And it's keeping us apart. People, the Tuskegee experiment, white people don't know about the Tuskegee experiment. But you know what? Black people don't know about the Appalachian experiment. Can you dig it? Like, understand that we know about Tuskegee, and when we say it to white people, they draw a blank. And then we like, man, you're a piece of shit. How you know about that? And then they say the Appalachian experiment, and then we like, I don't know. But guess what? They went on simultaneously. And they did it to more white people than black people. But once it got to the public, they used the same old trick and say, look what's happening to these black men.
Make it isolated.
Exactly. So the whole thing got to be hidden because they put the racial component to it. So that's what they keep doing in America. And that's why it didn't work up in Canada. They keep on playing that game and they keep on getting themselves set up. Right now, they're setting themselves up for a big one with this COVID. And here's what no one understands. I'm not sure how your life's been in the past couple of years, but if everything seems familiar to you, it should, because of the reset. If you feel like you're living your childhood, you are. You're living your childhood. The shit you dealt with when you was 10, you're dealing with again. Everyone's missing it. But with the reset, what everyone keeps forgetting is there's rules to this plane we're dealing with. And what the rules are is everyone has consent. And when you take away consent, God gets to come back in full spectrum, in full power. When COVID happened, let me tell you what I did. I bought about $10 million worth of eyeglasses and frames and lab equipment. I bought 6 cars for strangers because I know what the fucking trick was and everybody keeps getting it, missing it. So understand that when COVID kicked off, I knew it was an end from the beginning. So I bought everything to try to get rid of all my money because you see that the money in Russia is broken just because of one day in Ukraine's war. So when Texas decided to fuck you to America, all them dollars that y'all think y'all got, good luck with them. Right. But understand that everybody is racing and dashing to try to grab a hold of their piece of this thing called Earth when there's more planet than we can even imagine. And don't realize that nobody is fighting for love, brother. Man, when COVID hit, man, I'm loving as hard as I fucking can. And I just love and love and love. And because I love, man, God has been showing me everything because no one is fighting to love. Everyone's missing it. Everyone's trying to get some property or some real estate or hold to their job or their car. I swear to God. The guy Kepper on the Priest podcast, yeah. Man, I swear to God, I gave this brother $3 million worth of products and machinery. So imagine that I gave him products for 30,000 children to start manufacturing all of their own glasses and doing eye exams and making glasses, all at my expense. You understand that makes Compton richer than Silicon Valley, brother. By me doing it, that makes 30,000 doctors. That nigga stole the money to buy a Tesla, bro. So then we have that component to it that, yeah, we not all like that, but we do have people who are like that. But more importantly, when we think about what happened in the Tuskegee experiment, we think about the government did this to us, the government did this to us. And let's think about it. The government gave these Black men syphilis from the 30s all the way up into the 80s until everybody died and made sure they didn't have treatment. All right, let's think about this. Did a white man come to your neighborhood in a suit and start jabbing niggas up and say you couldn't get penicillin, even though penicillin was curing it back in the 50s? Right. No, it was your Black doctor who did it. The Black doctors are in on it, and they got us thinking that Black and white and Puerto Rican and Jewish and Italian are different people. Don't nobody go by that shit. People go by where they from. Black and white are the only things that don't have no damn origin. Show me a place called Black and show me a place called white. You go to Olympics, is there a place called Black or a place called white?
That's what I was just, yeah. You spot on, Papa, because I was just having a conversation with my daughter. She's 20, and when I was like, you got to really think about what's going on out here. Why is it that Hispanic has Hispanic Heritage Month? Why is it that the Irish have their month? Why is it the Asians? But when it comes to the African Americans, as they like to class, they call them Black Month.
Right.
You got to see the illusion and deception. Yeah, that's nothing but a color. You know what I mean?
It's the whole thing. But here's the kicker though, brother. We won this big. And what's crazy is this. And I tell you with 100% certainty, Gates, Buffett, my technology is total better. I'm richer than them. I swear to God, 10 times richer than all of them combined. And it's about to come public. They can't hide, and they know it. So I promise you, what's happening here is important. And Everybody got mean during COVID, and that wasn't the play. And understand that since everybody went this direction and I saw the play and everybody panicking, I loved the hardest I've ever loved in my life. And I had my business stolen from me. I had 6 practices in Mexico. I was setting up Mexico, the entire country with free vision. I set up a couple countries in Africa, Belize, Australia, for them to have vision access to eyeglasses, eye exams, and equipment, everything, my expense, where they did not have access. And Mexico stole my bus that was just for humanity. I don't want no damn bus. Well, I like my bus. I'm CanYouDigIt. That was for the children. And they took my practices that was on the bus. I bought a yacht and they took my yacht. So all this is for humanity. So I didn't fight nobody for it. I didn't get in the lawyer bar. I just let them have it. But I know the play. And right now we're supposed to be loving the hardest because none of this shit is real. We saw how real ID was when we was able to go to the bank and withdraw $5,000 without an fucking ID. I was able to go to Bank of America, get $10,000 with a mask on. And I'm like, well, you want to see my ID? Like, let me see your ID. I'm like, what about, well, don't take your mask off. So you're telling me that I've needed the ID to cash $5,000 for all these years, but now all of a sudden this ID means nothing because it never meant anything. Right. The way the patent, all of a sudden the passports didn't work. In Maryland, your registration for your car, instead of it expiring, they let it go for another 2 months. The fact that they're allowing these things to be extended and given moratoriums let you know that they're choosing these things to happen to us. And it's infinite. And that's why our weather's bad. If you look at our weather patterns, it's because it's bad. You look at the Trail of Tears, you look at the first F1 tornado recorded in history in America. It tore through everything. Everything we're in, but the thing about it is they're making us do it to ourselves. We're voting this shit in. It's like, come on, please. We gotta stop all this shit and we have to walk away. We gotta walk away because none of it matters. Women gotta start telling the truth and be with men who they wanna be with. And a beautiful house and a big ring ain't gonna make them happy. They're gonna find that if they love their man, living in a hut with some wood is gonna be happier than living in a mansion with a man they don't love. Absolutely. But they tricked everybody. They made everybody think that we're supposed to be in love, and they tricked us about romance when it's not supposed to be romance. Love is just a frequency, just like hate. But with love, you can have a person that you love more than anybody else, and you don't have to fuck them. Like you can love your child. But because Hollywood and confused you and tricked your dumb ass, not you, I'm talking about the folks, all of us, but you understand, we've been tricked into wanting this love story. And guess what? Have you ever had a homeboy where y'all was cool as fuck and y'all just traveling? It was just a great time. Y'all didn't have sex, but you had a frequency and a connection where you didn't need to. And it was cool. And that's all it had to be. You know, but they gotta make it about romance. And romance is so beautiful that when people don't have it, they do the ugliest things in the world to get it. And that's what I learned more than anything. I learned instead of hating these people, I'm pitying these people. You know, there's a woman who I'm not even gonna say her name right now because she's pregnant and she's about to have a child. But she stole $363,000 from me while I was building the cancer machines in Mexico, while my wife was 2 months, while she was pregnant with twins, while we were trying to escape Mexico. But I'm not gonna say her name because I wouldn't dare do that to a pregnant woman. You understand? But I say that because, like you, I used to be one of the beautiful ones back when I was able to get haircuts and sleep. But the thing about it is, brother, I'm not even going to beat up the people who are doing terrible things. Let me beat up me and you because it's our fault. Because me and you don't know how lucky we are, especially you. You're better looking than me. I concede that.
The only thing I got on
I don't give a shit.
The only thing I
got. I don't give a damn. Listen, if anybody is the best anything in the world, feel sorry for them. You don't want to be the best at nothing. Everybody hated Jesus because nobody wanted to hang out with him. It's hard hanging out with a person who won't do nothing bad. It's like, oh man, Jesus, I can't smoke weed in front of Jesus. You know what I mean? So it's like, no, listen, you're beautiful. And you know what? We need to be able to say we're beautiful to each other without having to be homophobic. You're beautiful. Nothing wrong with that.
I embrace that. But I was gonna say the only thing I got on you is age. So you agree?
But listen, once I get my hair cut, I'm gonna be better than you once I get me a barber. We give me a little, when I get some sleep, I'm gonna be better looking than you. So just give me a little while. But here's the thing. Because you have love, you don't know how it feels to not be the beautiful one. You don't know how it feels to be ignored. And I say ignored, but I mean really ignored, because me and you are invisible in society. But when we go home, we're beautiful and we are gods. And because you've always been beautiful, you don't know what it looks like to not be seen. And you took it for granted. You don't even know what it feels like. You don't know what it feels like for a person not to inquire about your day. Because when you're not one of the beautiful ones, people ain't saying, how was your day? And meaning it. People say, how was your day? Because you're beautiful. And you've been getting that your whole life. And people who weren't born with that set of genes that you have, they don't get those breaks. Now, me and you understand that in a different level because we're beautiful and it's brown, there's some downsides to it.
Who you telling? Who you telling?
But it took a long, it's taken me losing somebody who, it wasn't a woman for me. Like no woman had me doing crazy shit, man. It was my son. That was my romance. Right. You understand? I don't have to go out there and see, because I had so much love my entire life. I took it for granted that the love I was getting, I just took for granted, and I didn't know. But then when I felt one of my son, that was love, love, love. And just like romance, the one you love the most never loves you back. And because you've had women who've loved you and probably stalked you and slashed your tires and shit, and call you a piece of shit and say you a liar and you always lying, and it's like, you're saying, man, what did I do? And it's like, people love it when beautiful people see them. Right. And because they want to be beautiful, and when they see the beautiful people see them, it makes them feel beautiful. And when you're beautiful, you don't see that. So you judge people who do terrible things, because everybody who I see doing the horrible things are people who aren't happy with their looks. And it's like, damn, Bill Gates is the most despicable character on the planet. But when you look at him, he's a 14-year-old boy looking at the girl at the prom dance with the football team dude. Right. And he knows that there's nothing he's going to be able to do to get her to look at him like she's looking at this douchebag. You understand? And like, she's fawning over this man because he can throw a piece of skin. And he's saying, man, I can write you poetry. I will sing you songs. I will be anything you want me to be, and a gentleman of you. But you choose this buffoon because he's got muscles and can throw a football. You understand? Now, this isn't my words, but I'm saying when I see him, I see that little boy. He's a monster, and he feels like he's a monster, and he's given up. So he's got to poison humanity to make us like him. Him and Fauci, Dershowitz, the movie cartoon Monsters, Inc. It's about them having to scare people into liking them. And it just makes me look at myself, and it makes me have to pity them and judge myself more, because I didn't know what it was to not have love, because I've always had love. I've always been able to walk away. I've walked away from love because it's like a good meal. When you have a mother who can cook, you don't know that people don't get good food. When you have good lovemaking, you don't know that women don't have orgasms. You don't know. You just living your life, not realizing there's a subset of people out there who mamas didn't cook for them. There's a guy named Timothy Moffat. His mother can't cook water.
That's bad. That's bad.
She can't cook salted water. So he lost out the privilege of delicious food. Now, it was more healthy food. She's a beautiful woman. Her name is Miss Moffat. I'm not gonna say her whole name unless she gives me permission. Beautiful spirit, beautiful, beautiful soul. But we took advantage of it. And we created a group of monsters, with not noticing. And all of us. And the shitty part about it is the white guys did it to the other white guys, and the black guys did it to the black guys, because all of it's a system that they're all working together against us collectively. And it's a group of people. All the people we're talking about are people who are insecure with themselves and have to need some type of, they need someone to tell them that there's something beautiful. Like, are you going to medical school to heal, or are you going to medical school to be called a doctor?
Right, big difference.
When I talk to doctors and we talk about illnesses, I'm talking to doctors and I'm teaching them. And it's like, what did you go to school for? Because you wanted this title. And it's just to make you feel better than other people. When you go to law school, you go to medical school, what are you doing? You're learning Latin, right? Well, think about it. All you're really doing, you're not really going to learn about the body. You're learning to just go to learn a new language. Because if you can say words in a language that only you and the people who went to that university can understand, then now you can talk down to them, you can be better. And now I get to charge you for knowing what an oophorectomy knows, to knowing what any type of medical procedure, knowing that the Latin, knowing that to connect the words, it has to have a O vowel in the middle of it, because I know Latin. So, and I'm in Baltimore. I didn't go to college, anything. I went to community college, Howard County Community College. Shout out Howard County Community College. Excellent community college. We'll say that. Excellent community college. Amazing community college. But I didn't graduate. So while we're talking about it, I still got a student loan. And I'm never paying it. I'm not even trying to make a race disorder. Yeah, I'm never paying it.
I went to college for all the wrong reasons. I didn't survive but 1 year. But it's interesting that you're talking about, like, getting back to numbers, especially like 13. Like, if you really think about it, when you go, like you said, when you go to college, you're going for a specialization in a field and you get 1 degree. People got to understand there's still 360 degrees. So yes. What people do is that they look at people who have a piece of paper, and it's a sense of entitlement, and they rather believe that person and take their own accountability and responsibility to do the research themselves. And that's all it is.
It's sad. It's insecurity, honestly, and insecurity in a lot. But others, we got insecurity, but they want to be above other people. They have to be. And you understand that they went into the Ukraine just to keep, like, they really have to be above you, and they're willing to sacrifice this whole thing to be above you. And like the second you start feeling sorry for them, you look at the deeds and say, Jesus Christ, you're willing to sacrifice humanity so you can have a nicer house, a nicer car. So the scoreboard's getting changed. All this is so fantastic. I'm having a great job. You know how people are turning people into zombies? I'm turning people into niggas. It's the best thing in the world. You're gonna love it. So I'm a whistleblower, and I'm gonna send you the information. If you could please post it to your fans, because I lost my business, which I was making a lot of money. And guess what? I don't regret any of it. The people who stole the money from me, I don't regret any of it, because I'm learning and it taught me a lot, and I survived it. But it taught me how to use people for their true purpose. The person who stole my money got in the system, and she's such a despicable person that she was able to corrupt everybody who was involved with stealing the money. So I wasn't able to successfully prosecute any of them prosecuted in the past. But because they stole my money so publicly with this woman, who they now realize, oh shit, we attached to her, she took down the whole thing by herself. And I didn't have to go and involve myself in a nasty fight. And I realized like, oh man, it's brilliant. I got to start being smarter and not fighting people. I'm not fighting no more. I don't want to fight. I'm just going to love harder. And I know the trick. The trick is always going to be blame it on the man. Like, people blame everything on the white man, right? And it's like, hey, who was in the house with him? Who was in the house saying, I want some cold lemonade? You know, it was his woman, a woman with him. The same thing with the black dudes. Everything is always a woman. But being a man, we all are stupid. And we poke our chests out and we listen to our women because we're stupid. And they smarter than us. And they lie better than us. They cry when they laugh. I mean, they can cry when they're happy and laugh when they're sad. We don't know how to do that. We just know how to laugh and fight. We know how to laugh and get mad. So they got us. And the best trick the women have always played is to make the everything happen look like it's the man. Like, if anyone watched the movie The Exorcist, people don't even realize that that demon that possessed the little girl was a demon by the name of Pazuzu, right? That's his name, right? But what people don't know is that is the demon who they call to get rid of Lomatsu. So what happens is there is a female demon who likes to hurt infants and children. And to get rid of her, you have to call in her husband, Pazuzu. So you're watching The Exorcist thinking this little girl is being ravaged by some dude. But in actuality, they have to evoke that dude to drive out the woman. So the same thing is going on right now. Wow. We're looking at Bill Gates and thinking Mr. Vitruvian and all these things. Yeah, he's a puppet. He's being played. But if you want to know who's doing it, it's a woman behind him. But men, we poke out our chest when we decide something in our house that we think we make a decision with. We're the ones that go outside and say, this is the law. And we don't want to take the brunt for it. When it was our women just getting on our nerves and we just want her to shut the fuck up. So, okay, I will go out here and cut down a tree. Okay, all right, I'll go get 3 more slaves to make the house bigger. But then we got to do the deed while she gets to look like, oh, I can't believe these poor slaves. I'm going to give them some lemonade. And it's like, wow, you could free them. You understand? So it's a combination. A male energy and a female energy got together to rig this what's going on right now. And the male energy is standing right in front of it, but all this some sick female shit. It's twisted female shit, some old get out shit. But rest assured, there's a black woman behind all of this shit and all of it. In our communities, you ask, well, how come black people can't get ahead? Man, I'm gonna give you proof in videos because I'm still putting the video together because it's amazing. I didn't know that people really get paid in our communities to really report to the government. Absolutely. Like, I knew that like you had implants, like big things. Like, do you understand that I did a radio show in Baltimore. They hired people to come to Baltimore just to come and debunk me on the show. They put on 3 people on Killer Priest podcast just to come in and debunk what I say on the show. And when I went to California, I went and met with the NAACP and the Black Panther Party. And to give them, I was going to allow them to announce the end of blindness because, hey, it can help the organization, and we're giving the 30,000 children, kids in Compton jobs, careers. NAACP cat tells me, Santana, you're a genius. Thank you. Man, I can't wait. I'll tell everybody. We're going to do a blitz the whole country. All the NAACP is going to be involved. Everyone's going to know blindness is cured, and we're going to get paid off of it. But first, I need my $10 million. And I'm like, wow, what a piece of shit. It's McKepper's uncle. And McKepper isn't a Black Panther. So he stole $3 million. So you understand that the people who are running these organizations, who are implanted in our communities, are the ones that keep us fucked up. Like, I got McKepper on tape talking about how much his uncle was a snitch and how he got everybody set up because he didn't want to go to prison. And it's like, but brother, you work as a councilman in your community, and you're in the NAACP, but secretly you're selling out people in your community. And I didn't realize the shit's real. Like, I didn't realize that the 5%, I didn't realize that the Kemet crew were a bunch of entities not created. But more importantly, I didn't realize that people didn't want things to be resolved. They only want to keep the fight going on. So I'm saying, let's stop fighting. Stop fighting, and you and me, leave. We are the bargaining chip. We are the Afghanistan, we are the Ukraine of America. When anything goes bad, we can always pull out the card and say Russia is doing something wrong. Or we can always say North Korea. If anything goes wrong in America, if we want any policy to take place, we are it. We are the rod, we're the lightning rods. If you want anything to take place, you just say Black dude and say penis, or allude to a Puerto Rican and penis and a bunch of babies in welfare, and everyone's common sense goes out of the window.
Right. That's
so what I'm saying is, let's get the fuck out of here. It's more beautiful where I'm at now. And your money ain't gonna mean shit. And all the tricks they play, they can't do it without our involvement. So we're just being used as pawns to get shit done. And that's why all the murders. And I'm saying that the Black community is involved in it. Those Black children in Atlanta were sacrificed, brother. Broke my heart. But I said, well, maybe it's a coincidence. But then I said, you know what? Basquiat said, there's no coincidence. Basquiat said, hey, Santana, if you want to find out what's going on with the underlying conditions of all humanity, look at this picture. I need you to look at this writing in the middle. And he's going to say, well, Santana, because you didn't do all your homework, I'm going to leave you some clues. Like, Basquiat wrote very specific things specifically for me. Da Vinci gave me something specific, just me. And Basquiat thought I was going to be smarter than I actually am. So his complicated stuff, I haven't had time to look through. So he has to leave simple clues in there. But if you look at horn players, he's telling you about the underlying conditions, and he's telling you about the brain, and he's telling you about, if you look at the picture, it's beautiful. He's telling you about the illnesses of the ear and the vestibular and how we got to get that. And that's why they use horn players, because he used Dizzy Gillespie. And he has Dizzy singing, Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo. And what he's telling you is that's how style of singing. When he goes, he's scatting. So he's saying Dizzy is scatting. So he's trying to let you know that we're getting rid of this shit that's where we're trapped at. That's trapped, because all of it's a purification. And all of humanity, all we need to do is get rid of the shit that's in our heads. Just clean everything in our brains. That's it. Because our brain is what's fueling our body. Our stomach's not fueling it. It's our brain. So Basquiat tells you how to clean it out. And he tells you the most important thing. He puts in there R, 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 R. And then he separates 4 R's. And I'm reading it, and I read it out loud, and I realize R, 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 R. And I'm like, R, R. And then I'm like, oh shit. And I'm laughing because he's trying to tell me about the pirates. then everything else comes. So I'm looking into the pirates. I'm like, oh shit, it's scurvy. Look into scurvy. Scurvy was the AIDS of the past 300 years, and they did not find a cure for it. We just started.
Let me stop here. Not to interrupt. Did you want me to put that picture up there so you can explain it, or you?
If you have it, I can. I can explain it to you because it's beautiful. Basquiat, everything. If you can find this, I can explain it to you and point it to you. Put it up.
Yeah, and that's something I wanted you to go into about explaining the eustachian tube, leeches, because that revelation you've to you and you're speaking on. I mean, when I started doing my research, I'm like, man, this is crazy. The answer's been here the whole time. It's in the word. The answer.
Listen, this thing is so beautiful that the people who we're fighting against right now are going to see what's going on. And all this shit, like crazy enough, we're going to forgive each other for all of this because we all knew we were a bigger part of this and we all fucked up. But yes, this horn plays. So the first, look at the middle section. Do you see that white chalk there, all thick and heavy? What letter of the alphabet does it look like to you?
It's like a Y.
You damn right it's a Y, because that's where you got to apply it. But if you look there, you can look at that middle section, you're going to see those R's over there, R, up top. And that's where it's telling you, look to the pirates, look to the son of the bitches. He's talking about the son of the bitches and the pirates. So how it goes down, if you look to your right, I think it's on your right, if it's Dizzy, I got a small picture, you're going to see him scuba-doo-bop, beep-bop, beep-boop, all that right there. I can't see it blowing up, but I can see glimpses of it, but you're going to see him doing that scat because remember, we got to remove this shit from us. That's why they're doing that scat. But the word son of a bitch, where does it come from? It comes from when pirates used to go out tricking. They come on land and find themselves a local little tart. And the tart, they'll come back to shore 9 months later. The tart were like, hey, you got a little bambino and it's yours. So the pirate or person who was on the boat would take the baby and put the baby down with the guns and the ammunition, thus calling these babies son of a gun. And we then turn to son of a bitch. But that's where we get son of a gun from, because we put the babies down there with the guns. And because they're pirates and they don't know much about hygiene and nutrition, they don't know how to keep themselves healthy, let alone a baby who was dropped off by some woman who they've been kicking it with. So the baby start developing scurvy. The baby start getting scurvy, and everybody started getting scurvy. So when he pointed me to scurvy, it pointed me to some things in my own personal life that was spot on. But the RR is how it brought me to it. He leaves clues in a particular way that I understand particular things that I know to look for. But also you got that big white, that big Y, because that big Y is on there because remember, he's saying, basically he's covering up the, they're trying to whitewash again. And that's why it's so prominent, but it's that leech that when people go into and start using the leeches and find out what they're for and how they work and how they're so fantastic. Once people find out about the underlying problem, the true underlying problem being scurvy, to cleanse yourself faster, people are going to be using the leeches, and it makes night and day. We have, if this is our antenna, and they just been clogging up our antenna the entire time. They've been clogging our antenna the entire time. So because of our blood-brain barrier and scurvy, the reason why people aren't being diagnosed with scurvy because there is no test that can diagnose it. Once your body doesn't have vitamin C for 3 months in a row, it automatically onsets. But there's not a test that can detect it. So that's why it's being undetected. But once we get people getting that regimen, we get this cleaned out. You know, when the term cleanliness is next to godliness, it's for a reason, because that eustachian tube right there, that's godliness. That's you. That's God. It's like they call it the eustachian. Like literally, that's you. The essence, the part that's saying crazy guy, that is you. The thing that's been talking to you since you were a child. And since you've had that voice in your head your entire life, can you imagine life without that voice? And understand that some children are now being born and don't have that voice. Try to explain to a person who don't have the voice that you are hearing right now. You can't explain to a person that I talk to myself in my head and I hear and I talk back and forth and blah, 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 like the Wonder Years. Well, they don't have that. It's the U station. And everything that's getting targeted is now the ears. That's why, everybody's got sleep deprivation. That's why these kids got these ear infections all over the place. And you hear people keep talking about their ears and they're dizzy because they're attacking the ears because that's where you are. They're attacking, just like the world. Everything gets under a system just so they can divide it. The body used to be treated as a body. But what do? You got a foot specialist, you got an eye specialist, you got a stomach specialist. And it's like, why are you specializing in the stomach when you know it's connected to the liver and the kidney? So just like everything else, it's just more separation. Every aspect of life is the same things. And they're doing it with medicine. And by separating medicine out so much, no one knows anything. So everything the doctors do, they just do what the CDC or the WHO tell them to do. And they don't question it. And it's easier for them to just say, we're going to listen to them, because once they see kids popping up, their patients, especially, like, come on, think about it. If you're a pediatrician, you know these children and you know who got a shot and changed. But you get to say the CDC and WHO said it's fine. Well, there's something called an audit. And the pediatricians are going to learn about a group of people called the Huguenots. And they're going to learn about erethism and learn that this has been done before. But this was the most severe. This was so scary, humanity this time. This was scarier than both world wars combined. If you think what was done with Hitler in Germany, the First War, and war was scary, and part two was scary. This was scary because the trick that the tech companies try to play with humanity tricked the church. The church actually were going along with it, but the church realized that, oh shit, that they got tricked. I was hiding out in the I was hiding out in a monastery, a Greek monastery, because that's what you do when people try to kill you. So I knew that if you're going to get me, you're not coming up in this monastery, because despite how much they hum, I know they got guns. So you chase me up in this monastery, they bout it. So I'm hanging out the monasteries. I'm learning from these guys, and I'm learning that the Greeks say that everybody loses and they take over everything because they don't fight, they refuse to fight. And the reason why the Greeks don't have to fight, because the Greeks control the clock, because they know eventually they're going to have an implant that's going to take over your shit. The same way Constantine did with Christianity, and the same way Def Jam did the hip hop. They know it's going to be someone there eventually. And because they control our clock, they control everything, because they control our clock. They're making us acknowledge things on their time. So they know that no matter what happens, we'll let time, just as long as we got the clock, let everything happen. So with this, what they were trying to do with this whole takeover, this reset, they keep talking about the AI and how the AI is going to make things easier. And we know AI. But if anybody knows anything about AI, they know the eventuality of all AI drills always ends up with the elimination of mankind. So if we're moving to AI, then no matter what, how you do the equation, the end is always going to be mankind cannot be trusted with itself. So by putting AI in and letting the church control this narrative, and the church thought that, oh shit, yeah, we get to, because the church, everybody bid on with this because they all saw a big power grab, especially since people are dying. And now, because they're trying to collapse Ukraine to get some of that Ukrainian coochie over there because that their budget is so down. And that's what, that's what these YouTube commercials, these YouTube channels are for. These people doing all these traveling shows, these food channels, like they're not have nothing to do with no food or looking at stuff. All them doing is sex trafficking, and YouTube is part of it. It's sex trafficking. YouTube is the pedophiles of now that MTV was in the 1980s. Because if people watch the videos in the 80s, you don't realize you're not watching a video. You're watching the advertisement to buy a little boy or a little girl. You are looking at an advertisement to buy a little pussy. If you watch a couple videos, I'm gonna give you a reference, one for example. I want you to watch this video by a gentleman named Mr. Billy Ocean. Song is called Caribbean Queen. It was okay for the 80s. I want you to watch the video. The video and the song, I want you to watch the video, look at the words of the song, listen to the video. You're gonna find that all you're looking at is the video is telling you that if you come down to the Caribbean, you can fuck as many little boys and little girls as you want. And no more, at the end of the song, it goes, no more love on the run, no more love on the run. Because they're telling you that down here in the Caribbean, it says Caribbean Queen, now we're sharing the same dream. Now our hearts beat as one. Because remember, when they poison these little children with that try to get that adrenaline foam, they have to tell them they had a bad dream. And no more love on the run. That's how the words go. Caribbean Queen, now we're living the same dream. Our hearts beat as one. No more love on the run. Which just telling the pedophiles, come down to the Caribbean and you can fuck as many little boys and little girls you want because the law turns its nose and they will ignore it. That's what you're looking at. Look at the 1980s videos again, and all of it is nothing but fucking pedophilia, and they telling people where it's safe to fuck little boys and little girls. And guess what's going now?
Yeah, check it out.
What's that?
I'll follow it up. The video with Madonna, she had a song called Isla Bonita, where she's basically with the little boy, she's just kissing all over the little boy. It's exactly that's the thing.
Yes, that's the whole thing. It's pedophilia. When you look at that video, you're sitting back looking at it like, I'm a man, I'm a father. And I see that Billy Ocean is a grown-ass man talking about Caribbean Queen, but it's a beauty contest. So the Caribbean Queen they're singing about is a little girl at a beauty show. So I'm like, what the fuck? You're sharing the same dream, but then one line got me. She said, and you go watch it, it's gonna freak you out because it's so disgusting now she understands. She said she stepped in a room with tight jeans on her room, something. She said I was a tiger that she wanted to tame. And I'm looking at this is a child. So you're telling me that this child told you, Billy Ocean, you monkey.
That's what you keeping it light. That's light. That's light.
I'm sorry, brother.
It's light for you too.
You're telling me.
He could be called worse. He could be called.
You're telling me that this little girl in this beauty pageant told you that you were a tiger that she wanted to tame. You fucking monkey. She didn't tell you that. But when you go back and look at it again, so you're going to look at something in particular. If you look at something, it's something that I watch all the time because I'm a student of the world and I love eating up the world and I love feeling the world how it truly feels. And I watched this show on Bald and Bankrupt. Great show. And he's in Russia and all over the Ukraine. And he's been there for the past 13 years, getting footage of all these towns that have collapsed. And they've got towns there that have been completely empty, but are completely brand new, intact. They've been there for 30 years, completely uninhabited. And he's doing these tours because he's supposed to be looking at, if you ever follow his show, he's looking at murals. He's there to supposed to document all the Soviet murals in the country is the reason why he says he's there. But if you go to his very first episode, it's called The Poorest Place in Russia. And you're going to see that he goes right past a mural that said nothing about it. But then he says, even in the poorest town in Russia, they got hot chicks. Because this whole collapse that they was all hoping for, that was a whole new sex ring. It's like, man, it's so much connected that pedophilia and this whole sex trafficking is so crazy that people gotta understand that if 300,000 people are being sex trafficked, you gotta understand that's hard to do. Try to go steal a kid. Try to steal a kid and try to steal a kid from America and take it to Mexico and see how easy that shit is. Try to steal one kid from Mexico and bring it to America and see how easy that is. That's hard. It's very hard. So how are 300,000 children going missing? You know what I mean? If one kid is hard to steal with, tell me how 300,000 are going missing. That's a system. And it's been harvesting. And all this time, they talk about the Mayans and the Aztecs as if they were some type of demagogues and they were sacrificing, they were primitive. But brother, it's still taking place. When you look at what happened in Cleveland, Jesus Christ, like Cleveland is, man, that's why Ohio is so cursed, man. When you see all the things went in Cleveland, like, but Cleveland got the railroad, the Ohio Railroad to Baltimore. So all of that murder that took place on that track, man, you need to murder for all that. And there was 3 train wrecks, like I say, one on September 11th in Cleveland. Like they got bodies, like the Mayo Clinic, the Cleveland Clinic, that happened because of the massacre 13 years after the children. So they are doing soul harvesting and they're killing babies. You know, like, again, like, why would, like, look at Rwanda, look at all these places, look at how amazing they are right now. Because someone made a decision that I want to live in a nicer house. I want a nicer car. I want a better bitch. So we get to sacrifice your children. But the shitty part about it, brother, is some of the parents are involved. My friend named Willie, they tried to sacrifice him. They killed him. And he woke up at 5 years old. And they still won't tell him who he was before they killed him. So understand, they're doing shit to us. And it keeps happening because they keep on being able to say shit like Jew or fag and nigger. So I found out a way to fix it all because I'm a crazy person. The word nigger. YouTube kicked me off of my platform, kicked my page off just because I made a couple of, let me get my phone charger so I can plug my phone and my phone's going there. 1 second. Sorry, but the YouTube said that I made some derogatory comments and they have a policy of no talking about like ethnic stuff and racist stuff, right? And I called some dudes, I don't know if I said the word gorilla or monkey, but they said that I inferred it, something. I'm not sure if you saw a picture of it, but I have a picture of Benjamin Crump. You know Benjamin Crump, he's the attorney for Aubrey, Trayvon Martin, all those people. Pull it when you have time, pull this picture up when you have time. But
yeah, he's the one they call in.
He's the one. And so what I've been doing is the funnest thing in the world, brother. I've been making niggas. Oh my God. Have you ever made a nigga before? Making a nigga is like baking the most beautiful cake. So as you know, as a whistleblower in the prison system, I complain about prisoners not getting seen for their medical records and people going blind. As a result, I reached out to Benjamin Crump not to sue. I wasn't trying to sue. I was just saying, hey, Benjamin Crump, you're a civil rights advocate. And I see you everywhere. You know, can you just lend your name and just tell the people to stop it? And then the guy says, yeah, that's him. We call him Benjamin Crump, AKA Monkey Man Dude. Because he could do anything that a monkey could do, man. So,
and look who's right behind him.
Who is it? I can't. It's small. Can you enlarge it? I can see his monkey face.
No.
Is that Sharpton?
Yeah, it is.
There you go. There you go. He's a new generation. He's been crowned. So the reason why they chose him is for two reasons. Number one, he's an embarrassment. Because the first time you saw him, the first thing you said was, where'd they get this guy from? They can't find nobody who speaks better English than this guy. But then you ask yourself the question, well, shit, where'd they get Al Roker from? You know, it's a whole, seriously, brother, listen, brother. Hey, man, hey, brother, yeah, there is a whole.
He's the perfect example for this.
Right, like, yo, swear to God, have you ever met a person in your life who looked like Al Roker?
Or talk like him?
Right. Now, here's the thing, though. Remember, in India, ain't no black people over there. In Bangladesh, there ain't no black people. So they get the morning show representation of a black man is Al Roker. I don't like that. And guess what, nigga? You too. Don't act like it's just me. Your representation is Al Roker too, because you're Puerto Rican, you too.
Just like what's his name said, the Wu-Tang Clan says that's your people.
That's your people. So this thing, and this okay, so it's a whistleblower. So this man, I say, listen, brother, I'm not trying to get any type of compensation. I'm comfortable. I just don't like to be a part of suffering because I know how this whole thing works. And they suffered. I mean, I'm suffering because they're my patients. Go, you had a question?
You're talking about Benjamin Crump, right?
Yeah, Benjamin Crump. So I say, brother, just lend some light to it so it stops. And like, we don't handle that here. I'm like, first, nigga, I'm not asking you to take a case. I'm just saying, yo, these people in prison not getting the medical care. Just lend the light to it. Just shine some light to it. Call somebody else who would know to just get some attention to it.
Right.
Then I start reviewing his cases, and I'm sitting back like, man, I realized he only goes to cases with people who are dead because I know him personally indirectly. His business partner is named Daryl Parks. They have a firm in Tallahassee, Texas called Parks and Crump. I crossed paths with them about 10 years ago. I used to do ophthalmology for the entire Florida prison system in 2010, 2014, a couple times. So I had 135,000 patients in the Florida prison system when I ran into Daryl Parks, his business partner. And bro, Daryl Parks, no problem with Parks. Parks, you cool, I ain't fucking with you. You cool. But don't get on Crump side Parks because Crumps is becoming a nigga. I'm making him a nigga. So here's how you make a nigga, brother. You let these things happen to humanity because you want to be looked at as smarter or better or the nigga. You want to have a nicer house and a nicer car. And you get to walk around your neighborhood with everybody being jealous of you because how he get the big case? All the other lawyers are jealous of you and your neighbors are jealous of you and everybody thinking you so smart and so everything. And they don't know that the government put you in as an implant to first embarrass us by looking like a goddamn gorilla. Let me not say the gorilla. Which one got the red butts?
Baboon?
Yeah, one of those. So first, I don't appreciate that shit. You understand? I don't like that shit at all. That's first off. You gotta appreciate that. You know, so so he does. So I realized that he only there for a settlement. So I don't like you coming into a situation, and that's how it works. When Trayvon Martin got killed, everybody I know in Baltimore was like, no problem, we're going down there. Everybody was like, we're gonna get him. But what ends up happening is you get a jigaboo come tap dancing with a hat screaming, oh, so when he came along screaming that we're gonna take care of this, we thought that, okay, you know what? Well, shit, we can just let everything work out because we got this big black monkey. We know that he's been discriminated against. He's gonna fight hard for justice. To find out the whole thing was a damn fraud. It was a sacrifice. Find out where Trayvon Martin's heart is. Find out who got it. Wait till you find out who got that heart. Find out who got Trayvon Martin's heart. And he wasn't the vice president. Or maybe he was the former vice president. Find out who got his heart, man. So he gets to live this beautiful life. In exchange, you got people living in cages. And I don't appreciate that. So what you do is you expose him to everyone, let everyone know that he's a fraud. And I simply sent a picture of a bunch of monkeys. I'm gonna send you a link of the Instagram post that I made for him. I think it's very tasteful. I think you'll like it. But it's a bunch of monkeys on it. And YouTube kicked me off of YouTube's platform because they said that they kicked me off. They didn't give me a chance, right? Because they said that me referring to him as a monkey, I didn't even say a word. I played a song and they had monkeys in it. But here's the thing, bro, I'm trying to say, brother. YouTube is the biggest pedophile ring, and I'm gonna give a whole bunch of examples on how all their shows, especially their travel shows, is nothing but pedophile rings. But more importantly, is the biggest hypocrites in the world. We're gonna fuck them up real quick with their own rules, because you want good rules in the system. My name is Mr. System, I break you. So when somebody calls a man a gorilla, a monkey, or a coon, what do you really call him? A nigger, right?
Yeah.
Right, but so
that's what you're trying to say.
Right, you're trying to say that, right? Because the real word nigger is worse than you calling somebody an ape or a coon, right? But YouTube allows me to say nigger, but not the lesser version of it. That sounds like hypocrisy to me. So you're telling me that I can watch a man get his head cut off, but I can't say the word monkey. Right. But you're saying that I'm calling him a monkey. So what you're really saying is I'm calling him a nigger. So YouTube is saying to you that it's okay for you to call him a nigger, which is worse, but you can't call him a monkey. So I need to find out how they determine and who gets to decide that it's okay to call a person a nigger, but you can't call him a monkey. That seems hypocritical to me. But I got something in my back pocket for YouTube. For delete my channel because I had 300 subscribers, man, you know. 300 big ass subscribers. You know, so I'm just simply saying that.
You got more than me.
Here's the thing about it is, this is our script. This is our movie. We got a peek of it. We're peeking in on it, and we're connecting in divine time. And because we're working in the right spirit of things, I don't care how many people look at my video. I care not, because guess what, man? Remember, how many people have a scoring champion in NBA? It's just one person. So I don't gotta talk to a billion people. Only one person.
That's it.
Only one person. One person makes an action. That's all it takes. And this truth frequency, listen, I am not saying anything to people that they don't already know. Okay, maybe the 13 years things and maybe the art. But when I point out the art and you see it for yourself, you say, okay, I fucking see. So I'm not asking you to trust me as of anything. I'm asking you to look at it. And if you can give me a better explanation, by all means, explain it. You know, but Basquiat, all the artists were just like now. You understand that Basquiat was painting 200 pictures at the same time? You understand that Da Vinci was painting up until he was 80 years old? Da Vinci was working 3 jobs up until he was 80. So throughout humanity, they've always had the artists fucked up. And the best artist, Basquiat, Botticelli. And forgive me that I can't even speak of the best ones in Africa, because I know a lot of them to be lies, because we know we're getting toward another fake narrative as another distraction. For example, this reset has happened before. The same way we're finding out that we were here. Me and you are probably cousins. We're probably from the same Calusa tribe. My people were from Florida and from the islands. So we're maybe cousins. But the reason why everyone has the same story about a flood is because, shit, they keep doing it. Like, no one finds it strange that the Three Gorges Dam in China, you understand that if that dam explodes, 500 million people die instantly? You understand that in the Dakotas, when they had to drill through all of the fresh water through the Indian reservation, that they had no choice, but they only could go through the fresh water with that new pipeline. You understand that that is the reset, the plan for the new reset to fuck up that fresh water the same way they fucked up Mississippi. Every reset, they give us a flood. There's nothing biblical about it. It's them that they built in place. And the thing about it is, if you just look at it, they leave clues because humanity just won't look because they're too busy looking at niggas and fat asses. If you look at the clues, you look at, there's a telescope that was put in Hawaii that they absolutely had to do. There was a pipeline put through the Dakotas, through the freshest water in America, the largest freshwater basin in America, that they had to go through it. They couldn't go under it or around it. They said, no, we can only go through it. And the military went down and protested, the soldiers, black and white and everybody, the Indians, and no one listened because they're setting up this reset. For example, Cuban Missile Crisis. We were supposed to go to war with Cuba. That was supposed to really happen. Didn't happen at the last minute. What happened to the tanks? What happened to all that metal for that war that was supposed to happen? What happened to it?
Stayed over there.
Or they built 2 very special towers in New York a year later. 2 towers that were not made of skyscraper metal. They were made of tanks. They burned at a higher degree, a lower degree than the skyscraper. So what I'm saying to you is they built a skyscraper with materials meant for, so basically you use wood instead of metal.
Right.
So you had something already in place for when you need to do a diabolical deed. And it's all public. You can watch and see it's bullshit. You can watch and see on that fateful day that me and you seen a million times, building number 7 was 2 blocks away and nothing touched it. And it fell the same way. And no one talks about that. No one talks about that the day of that morning that the Air Force was given one single directive: war games, do not respond to any reports of an attack. We know that the whole Air Force was told that we're going to run a war game pretending that planes are running into buildings, so ignore it. You know the last time we ignored it? We ignored it with Pearl Harbor. They got statehood and we got into a war. We ignored it with the Titanic reset. There was a boat called the SS California 20 minutes away. They ignored it. Every time you do a reset, and September 11th was our big harvest. And you notice, keeps being 3,000 people. Keeps being 3,000 people.
Let's go back just real quick because I think people missed that whole Titanic thing, like you said. What I'm loving about this is, like you saying, Santana, you guys are watching him and you may think he's talking all this stuff here and there, but it all ties back in. Earlier he was saying about romance, and that's what they sell. That's how they sold the movie Titanic here in the US as a romance movie, but it wasn't a romance movie. They basically killed everybody who didn't want to have. People don't even know the story about the Titanic. They don't know that. They set them up. They killed.
They set them up. They killed the richest people in the world who opposed the FDIC. And the way they was able to do it was Woodrow Wilson. They got a racist president in office to divide the people, and he was able to push that shit through. The same thing with Trump. You bring a racist president, and the same thing happened. They got the Spanish influenza at the same time. This time we got COVID. It's history repeating itself. All this was.
I wanted to make that connection because you're right. They sell romance.
They forget romance is like, yo, fuck romance. Like, romances don't have romance. Ask my woman, does she believe in romance? She better not believe in romance. I don't believe in romance. None of that stuff. Because if I only bought my woman something for Valentine's Day, she's not happy. Whenever I see something that I think she might like, I buy her something every week. Because that's real romance. Fuck all the rest of that. But the thing everybody's asking for, they think this thing with women, you need to have a soulmate. They need to sold us on this. And it's like, no, you have a soulmate, but your soulmate don't have to be your woman. It could be your child. It could be your mother. It could be your father. But don't mean you can't love them with all your heart. Right. But everybody just wants this romance. And you know what? It's beautiful when it works, but it's not for everybody. But because it's so beautiful when it does work, they make people who don't have it want it and feel they're missing out. And they are. It is, you know, and they're taunted by it all day with these love stories and romance, and women are programmed to be princesses, and some man's gonna kiss them when they sleep and make them a princess and give them a wedding, you know? And this shit. They tell them they should have children, all these things, all shit, it's all programming. It's like, no. You find somebody you love, it could be a woman loving another woman. She don't have to kiss her. They can just be good friends. You hear about when people go to war together and the camaraderie between brothers, between wars, but you don't hear about them. Sometimes you all right, bad example. But, well, wait a minute. You hear about them when they're going out, like when they're doing like military service, like when the Navy goes out to sea for like 6 months. I've heard rumors that they get freaky underwater, you know, and when people in the prison, I can assure you, there's a lot of romance going on in prison. But you don't hear about people who was at war and men having sex with each other on the battlefield. You know, that is something about the camaraderie, about something so real that people know it's such a strong connection, but that don't mean we got to start tongue kissing each other down.
Right.
You understand? So it all connects. And long story short, we win like fuck. And the worst part about it is the win is too big. Literally, it's the 400-pound man about to sit on the seesaw with the feather is about to happen. And the thing about it is things are going to be too good to create a vacuum. The same thing that they did by deciding they were going to vaccinate the entire planet, making sure that by vaccinating them, they would not have the ability to absorb vitamin C, making all of us get scurvy, and it's undetectable. So we're slowly dying. That's why people who got diabetes think they got diabetes. You don't have diabetes, you got scurvy. That womb won't close, it's not diabetes, it's scurvy. Get some vitamin C pumped right in. Eat 5 oranges a day for a month. Everything is straight. All your shit. And if you eat 5, get that eustachian too. If you can get somebody to put you to sleep, because putting the medicinal leech directly inside the ear canal is the trick. Hurts. If you can get somebody to sedate you and do it, oh my God. Tinnitus, all that stuff. But you can still get it pulled out by putting it all around the ear and under the jaw, because all you're doing is pulling out poison and free radicals that can't go because the blood-brain barrier has been destroyed. And you're not getting that vitamin C. And if you got a vaccine, you're definitely not getting it. So when that's fixed, our frequency is already high anyway. Anyway, we're already high. But that planetarily fixed, we get to see the true world that's being hidden from us. We get to catch up to the time they've been trying to hold back from us. You know, like when you want something new, like California got the iPhone. Well, understand that technology's been around. But in order to get that iPhone, you need to get it. We need some good depth. We need a good public depth to get this iPhone. So just look at when it came out and just go back 13 years and you're going to find out what the depth was or what the policy was. Sometimes it's a policy so egregious, like the Indian Removal Act. You know, policies will do these things, but the sacrifice is real. They are sacrificing people. And it's not white people sacrificing Black people and Chinese sacrificing Uyghurs and Kazakhstans. It's Black people sacrificing Black people and vice versa. It's going on everywhere too. Everyone makes these covenants. And if you think I'm crazy, look at the patterns. Look at Hiroshima, Pearl Harbor, Nagasaki. Look at everything and look at the economic prosperity Rwanda has right now. Look at it. Look at all these places. Look at Cleveland. Cleveland used to be like New York. Cleveland used to be like DC is today. Cleveland was an international city. People remember right now, planes and cars are the jump off, but trains were the thing. Cleveland got the railroads. So they had to kill a whole bunch of people. A lot of Cleveland Indians got murdered on a stake of that railroad. Places like New York, for example, Baltimore, place like Baltimore, we have the University of Maryland and Johns Hopkins. And to feed that machine, because you get like big murders, like if you get big massacres, you get your football teams, but explosions, you get hospitals. Like killing a Black child publicly for everybody to see. Oh my God. You know, you don't get anything, you don't get a football team, but you may get a little mall. You guys want a mall in community in Minneapolis? Okay, well, just kill this Black kid publicly and then make people go to court over it, because that's the worst part. Because what you've done is said, we are not going to listen to what God has given us and let us see that if you put a knee on someone's throat and they suffocate, that's probably the cause of death. We allowed them to say, the system to say that, yes, that's the cause of death. So we still gave it to them. So we gave them all the consent and let all that shit ride. But they get to get a bike path or a new mall or a new housing development. Think about it, all the Black people you know, Puerto Rican, when shit goes wrong, what they say, I'm gonna go and move to Atlanta, right? Because Atlanta was the first place Black people had money in mansions, right? Well, you know what? Right? Yeah. But guess what? That's right. But guess what else they got in common? They got missing babies. They got missing babies. And these people gave up their babies to have better houses. So I'm saying, people are going to walk away from all of it. That's what happened before. That's why we keep seeing in civilization, people walk away. It's happening. It's going to happen again because it's broke. And the Ukraine fight that's going on over there, let me give you the prediction right now. Those troops are going to get to Ukraine and they're going to start partying and drinking. Everyone's had enough. It's over. It's over. It is over. It's peace, finally. But the people who try to pull this off are in such big trouble that they got the church after, because the church got tricked. The tech companies almost beat the Romans and the Greeks. The tech company used the trick that the Greeks use. And what the Greeks do is they change the names of their heroes. The reason why you have heroes who started off Black to end up being white is in the Greeks. What they do is when you become, if you're trying to become a monk, they'll name you the name of a former saint. So let's say Saint Roscoe Jenkins started off Black. For 1,000 years later, if a white guy comes along who they think may have the characteristics of Saint Roscoe Jenkins, they'll name him Roscoe Jenkins. And if he does something miraculous, they'll make him the next incarnation of Roscoe Jenkins. And he's the ones who they put in your wall. So that's how the Greeks get the whitewash history. Genius. They say, fuck no, we're not gonna fight you, we got the clock. Eventually we're gonna find a sellout ass nigga or a sellout ass Chinese person who's gonna go along with this shit. So we're just gonna wait. That's their strategy. Well, the tech companies learn from them. And the tech companies was like, cool, we're gonna give the church everything they want and we're gonna make it seem like we're working with them because we both work for the devil, because the church is the devil. And tech companies, of course, the devil. So the tech company was like, cool, we're gonna let everything look like the church is going along with this shit, and it was. But what happened was, someone from the church didn't catch on fast enough to realize that if the church is in charge, like they thought they were going to be, because they thought it was going to be a big power grab with this whole COVID, because the narratives around the world was going to link it back to a great biblical plague, like they did the bubonic plague, like they did the bubonic plague. The bubonic plague, all that, same thing. And that was all led to something biblical, and the same thing going on again. And the church was going along with this COVID because, hey, guess what? They always do it. But this time around, the church realized during, I'm not sure how long it took, that they got tricked. Because by allowing it to look like they was going along with this shit and them going along with the narrative, they had to continue going along with it because they couldn't publicly break from the tech company because they was in too much control of the narrative. So eventually someone realized that from the churches that if we are pretending to be taking over things and we're working along with the AI, the eventuality is the removal of all religion. AI is going to remove all religion. So the church had to protect itself. And that's why the church is going on board, because the AI, before it removes all humanity, it's got to do religion first. And it's like, man, from the Vatican, you guys are supposed to be smarter than that, you know? So thank you. I need one too. So yeah, so the church. So basically, the tech companies got in line with the church and basically was like, well, fuck it. We're just going to hang out and let the church do whatever they want to do and go in line with everything they do and sit back, because eventually the AI takes over. We get rid of church and we get rid of humanity. So the church, watch what the church does to them. Me and you, brother, we ain't got to do nothing. All we got to do is find me a barber, and sit back and watch and get some popcorn. And don't take no vaccines. Don't fight. Talk to your brother. Talk to everybody and people who've done terrible things, who feel bad about them or don't feel bad about them. Forgive them. Forgive everybody, man, because we played a part. All of us played a part in it. Nah, we ain't poison babies and we ain't know nothing about that. But we went along with the lie. And we didn't stand up when we should have stood up. You know, there's something wrong with putting people in cages. You know, and we all should have said no to that. And by us not saying no to that and allowing it to take place, we become part of it. So we want to say that, listen, you fucked up. We all fucked up. I fucked up. Let's not beat ourselves up over what we did because we were all lied to. And let's move past it. And let's move past it together and let us see each other. And if you watch this particular video, it's a great video. What's the name of the video? Just watch that. If we can please watch that we're being programmed to ignore people, ignore people. If you watch the Partridge Family or movies and television shows from the 50s and the 60s, you're going to see that during the television show, you'll see that every person in the show was a role character, a person, and everyone got introduced and acknowledged and spoken to. You know, you had your neighbor, you know, you had someone walk down the street. If you look at a scene of any Hollywood movie in the 50s and then walking down the street, all of their neighbors get spoke to and addressed and acknowledged. But you watch our movies today and they show you how to ignore each other. They'll just have a person walking through a crowd and they just focus on one person and the person's got blinders on. So when you look at things, you always see a Black person in the background because they always tell you to ignore that Black dude and that Puerto Rican dude and that little fat chick over there. And what I'm saying is we're not trying to do these things. They're programming us to do it. So we are better than what we're demonstrating. I'm saying that we look like we're in a bad place, but we are beautiful. We're beautiful. And the reason why you know we are all beautiful, even the ones who did bad things, is because if you have to be tricked into going along with their lie, into doing the wrong thing, I mean, you wanted to do the right thing. You know? So we're more beautiful than we think, but we're ugly. Some of us are uglier than that. And if you don't mind, I have some wanted posters that I've circulated throughout my city. The people who, so making a nigga, I'm sorry. Man, get high when you're watching this, it makes it better. Making a nigga, because you get to ride in your fancy car, in your house, and go on $1 million vacations and have a Bentley, and you're fine with allowing people to stay in cages, then I'm going to turn you into a nigga. So by me letting people see who the fuck you are, you gorilla, and by me posting pictures of you with pictures of gorilla next to you, well, everybody's seeing that gorilla face and sending it everywhere. And me, I had over 100,000 pieces of paper with his face printed up and I got them put in bathrooms, not bathrooms, public bathrooms, toilet stalls, not the bathroom. I mean, inside the stalls when you poop. You know why? Because fancy people aren't going to want to see their pictures talking about their deeds in shitty bathrooms. But you know what else? Fancy people don't want people looking at them thinking about, look what they did. Look what you did. You know the way they get to look at OJ and act like he's a murderer? He didn't do that. The way they get to look at Bill Cosby and looking like he's a rapist. So everywhere they walk, everywhere in the world, they get to walk around with that thought of, I wonder, does this person think I'm a murderer? Or does this person think, is this person a fan? Or do they think I'm a rapist? So they get to live with that their whole life. You know what that's called? That's called a nigger. So now, Ben Crump, you get to look at, when people see you, they're going, no, nigga, that I got a whole bunch of monkey pictures of you everywhere. So when you see people laughing and hearing people laugh in the background, yes, they're laughing at you. And every time you hear somebody laugh at Benjamin Crump, every time you hear somebody laugh, every time you hear laughter, they're laughing at you. So you, my friend, are now a nigger. So you get to feel like the people that you neglect in those cages. So if you don't like being felt like you're being looked at and judged and not knowing what people's thoughts are and thinking that you're being judged every second of the fucking day, well, the people in those cages that you say that you don't want nothing to do with, who all you had to do was just simply say, hey, can you guys look into this and get these guys seen? Even on the low, you was too up in you wanted to beat on your big monkey chest and you couldn't take time out for humanity to just make a phone call for these people who are in cages. So you get to be just like them. So that existence that you get to live, walking through your neighborhood, proud, and everybody looking at you like you're a good person, that's over. You now a nigga. I made 10 more niggas last week. So we'll just make niggas out of everybody and let them see how it feels to live in existence where everybody is pointing at them or have to wonder if they're judging me the whole time. And answer Benjamin Crump, yes, they're judging you because you look like a monkey. Which one was it? Which one was it? The one that got the butt, the red butt. You look like one of those. And listen, let me be completely honest. I was actually giving Benjamin Crump a compliment with the monkeys because I had, I'm gonna send you the video because I'm a gentleman.
Yeah, I know you're being light.
You know, I was seeing the videos, but I was being nice because those aren't even my videos. I'm going to, hey, baby, I'm gonna send you this video. You can look at it yourself. You let me know if you think this is offensive. But there's some monkeys in this video, right? Who was so, like, Benjamin Crump is so popular. he's so popular around the world, right? That there's in Africa, right? They're killing, they're encroaching on all the monkeys.
That's bad. That's bad.
See that encroaching on the territory. So these monkeys, right? These monkeys came to America, right? And baby, please send me that video of Benjamin Crump, please. So these monkeys saw Benjamin Crump was a civil rights attorney. So what they did was they were trying to get his attention by doing poses like him, because you know how he was Black Power and stuff. Yeah. So the monkeys was just doing poses like he was doing, and they took my channel away from me. And it's like, man, the monkeys were simply saying, hey, Benjamin Crump, I know that you fight for humanity, and people are taking away our houses in the jungle. Can you come fight for us?
Yeah, you gotta send me that.
Baby, please send me. Huh? Please send me Benjamin Crump's thing.
It's in your WhatsApp.
I don't have this phone. Is it on this phone?
You have both of my phones. You have both of the phones.
Oh, baby, send it to him.
It's in your WhatsApp.
Can you send it to my phone? Can
you
send it to him?
Phone. Of course. Tell me to give you this number.
And you have it. His email address?
It's in that phone.
Oh, okay. I'm not a tech person. My beacon takes care of that. I'm gonna send you the video of it, and you just let me know if you think it's offensive. But so it's been a lot. I know we're jumping all over the place, but every single thing's connected. And at the end of the day, everything is all connected about people not being loved. And let's make it our business to see each other and stop watching TV. Because the people who think they're ugly ain't even ugly, man. Right. Like nobody's ugly. We're frequencies. And the only reason why you think you're ugly, like, it's like, who told you was fat? Who told you was naked? Right? Who told you was ugly? You know, people are beautiful, man. I think everybody's beautiful. I think everybody is beautiful, except Benjamin Crump. Benjamin Crump, that nigga's a booger wolf. That's a booger wolf. He ain't. That's a booger wolf. So no. And let me get out one more shout. Barry Sims. Barry Sims is the investigative reporter from WBAL TV in Baltimore, Maryland. Shout out WBAL TV, at which I've given them all this information. I'm going to share my whistleblower information with your podcast, if you don't mind. I'm gonna send it to you, and I ask you just to bring light to it. And I love what you're doing, brother. And I think like people don't realize that get your thing on Rumble. YouTube's gonna break, and everybody's moving to Rumble. So get yours on there now before everything comes over. Everything's about to come over. But the whistleblower thing, everything all goes back to the same thing. When you're a part of suffering, you're a part of suffering. And it's stuck to you, literally connected to you when you're a part of it. And you got to break those ties and break those physical, literally physical things that you're connected to. And you're going to find that I can tell you from firsthand experience that being rich, sitting in the Eiffel Tower for Mother's Day with a sick son sucks. All that shit, I threw all that shit in the trash to cure my son. And people think that having these things, having a fatter ass, is going to make them get love. And it's not. You got to turn the TV off and start over and love yourself. You know what I mean? And stop looking for romance. Stop looking for romance and just look for love. You know what I mean? And start seeing people. And you know, like, man, like, smile at people, like seeing people, like, I swear to God, if I wasn't, like, I see people, and I see people because I love people, and it makes my day, because when I see people and I see that another person isn't seeing them, then that's my opportunity to run over and say, nice shoes, you know? Do you know how much that makes a person's day? Man, like, that took 2 seconds. And I know from the way that they're posturing that no one's told them. Right. So I get to be the one to do it. Yes, that's my point. There's a guy who works in a prison in Jessup. His name is Moss. Shout out my man, Moss. He is a CA. He's a doctor. He's a doctor. A PA. He's a PA. He's a good doctor too. He wears blue incessantly. And when I mean blue, I mean that he'll have a blue sweater, a blue turtleneck, a blue scarf, a blue coat, a blue hat, some blue slacks, some blue shoes, and they'll all be different shades of blue. And he'll be sitting in his chair, looking all like the great Blue Dini. And I see him. So when I see Moss, how you doing, Moss, brother? I hope everything's going good for you, brother. You're a good brother. God bless you, brother. And John Nathan, shout out to John Nathan. John Nathan, you're a good brother. Can you dig it? That's a can you dig it for you. When I see Moss with his whole blue outfit on, I go in Moss outfit, close the door, and I say, yo, you wearing that outfit, yo. You wearing that outfit. Because that nigga got 9 colors of blues on, he thought about it. You understand? He thought about that shit. Come on, 9 blues? How many blues have you ever worn? Come on. Well, he had 9 colors of blue on.
He's got coordination.
Yeah, right. Please. He took the time out to wear blue, 9 colors of blue. And you know what? It was beautiful. But somebody got to tell him, because if you took the time, someone wants you to recognize it and acknowledge it. So even though she ain't got the fattest ass or the prettiest eyes or the nicest car, man, I walk through Holland, and because there's so much pedophilia and incest going on in Holland, people in those coffee shops sitting blank-faced. And I'll walk into a diner and I'll say, sweetheart, I don't know you. I'm married. Look at my beautiful wife. But I just saw you and I just thought that you were beautiful. And I just wanted to be the one to tell you. And it's just like, man, you change a whole person's life with just, man, that's fantastic. And you feel it. You feel it. They feel it. And it just feels amazing. And that's what you want to be connected to. And everything feels good. Your music feels good. Your lovemaking feels amazing because you got all this beautiful energy with you. And everybody's jealous of you because of this beautiful thing you have. And I'm trying to tell you that if you love harder, everybody sees you as beautiful. You know, Rick James thought he was the most beautiful man in the world. He wasn't. I love Rick James. You know, so we just gotta do a better job of loving each other and stop letting glaucoma again. We gotta start loving each other, brother, and start loving each other, all of us. And we might have to divide for a little while to learn to trust each other. And because quite frankly, we shouldn't trust each other. We can't trust each other. And if you're scared of Black and Puerto Rican people, you're supposed to. I'm scared of Black and Puerto Rican people because television scared me. I'm scared of spiders. Most of humanity is scared of spiders. Ask any Black dude in Baltimore City if they're scared of spiders. They're gonna say, yeah. Well, brother, you live in a city, man. Ain't no spiders for 300 miles away. You're scared of a spider because you saw it on TV. And people are scared of me and you because they seen some crazy usses on TV. So they have every right to be scared. You know, they make horror movies to scare you. They make horror movies for us called Cops. And Cops, you know, and you go to Bangladesh, if you go to the Philippines, you go to Malaysia, I can promise you, we go to Singapore, they don't have the Cosby Show. But all of them have cops. So everywhere we go, they know how to treat people. They know how to treat women. They know how to treat Mexicans. They know how to treat old people. There's something to know how to treat everybody improperly based on our training that we're being conditioned to do. So I'm saying, fuck that, walk away. Let's just be beautiful. Let's make love. Let's make love the best every time. Let's, like, whatever I do, I want to do it the best. My beacon wants to kick it with me and she likes me because if we walking down the street in Paris, I will dance and break dance in the middle of the street in the ice and snow because I want to do it all the way. And I'm free that way. And I've never been so free. And it's the best thing in the world. And I'm inviting everybody to come along. But in the meantime, if you need a job, I'm inviting you to a career because we got a career for you too. So I'm a servant masquerading as a cat daddy. All I want, man, my secret is this. Man, I love people. I love people, man. I talk to people. I love telling people shit they never heard. I love fucking people's heads up. I love the way that my woman fell in love with me from our first conversation because I was a cool cat daddy. But I had told her some things she had never heard before. You know, that connection of, man, I gotta talk to this guy again. You know, I love that people want me around. And I love being around the people because I love telling them the things about them that people aren't paying attention to that essentially make them who they are. And we're ignoring too many people. So if y'all want to ignore them, I want to see them and I want to love them. And since no one wants to fight for love and realize that If everybody is fighting for land and money and gold and Bitcoin, who is fighting for hard love? Me. So I get to get all of it. Can you dig it? You know? You dig it, man. You dig it.
Check this out, man. I appreciate it.
Listen, brother, I appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you, man. And before you go, like I'm pretty sure by now, this guy has really uncovered universal eyesight for every single person. It's available. So I don't know if you want to go ahead and give a shout out to that. I'll put it in the comments.
I'm gonna send it everything, brother. I hooked humanity up. Not only did I set it up to get everybody on the planet glasses, I set it up that when it becomes universal, everyone on the planet will be paid from it. Mm-hmm. I set it up that no matter what happens throughout the rest of this experiment that we're doing in this simulation, that eye care, the entire eye care industry is owned 100% by each one of us. And the thing about it is most people don't understand it right now. But I promise you, they're gonna understand it soon. So I'm just sitting back waiting for everything to kick in. But yeah, so, and we train people on, so we tell them, like, if you're gonna walk away, I'm not gonna just tell you to walk away from this system, just go and try to live under a tent, on the bridge. And so what was it, Austin? The homeless, listen, I've been traveling the country back and forth from California, Arizona, the whole thing before I had to hide. And the homeless population is horrible. I'm not saying walk away and live in those places. I'm saying, hey, guess what? Here is a career that we would train you with no experience that you're going to make at least $500 a day from day one. Anyone, independently. And you're trained for free. And it's what I gave to humanity as well as the other part. So I'm not just trying to bring shit to your attention just to be one of those people to say, I'm smart and it's for my ego. Nope. I'm trying to bring things to your attention because I know what's going on in this world, and I know this switch and this other side of it. I really want to be a part of it because what's about to happen is unimaginable. And it will be a whole lot better if we're fighting over resources when this world is 10 times bigger than what they're showing us on this damn map they show us. So when the people in the world realize that, why are we fighting over a block, a corner, when there's too much land to even try to fight over? Well, like even now, go to South America. Right now, every human being right now can live in the state of Texas right now. All of us, if we chose to. Don't do it. There's so much beautiful waterfront, beachfront property that's selling for dirt cheap that people can just walk away. And I'm encouraging people to walk away from this system because it's wicked. And a lot of death is taking place, and they got to break it because everyone knows the dollar's not real. And if you see, you already know that look at the TV for Russia already. The people in Russia, their money, they're going to the banks trying to get their money out. So in one day of them invading somebody else, they didn't get invaded. Their money is now nothing. So if one of our states say, I want to secede, bad shape. But alas, I have been doing a couple of things to get safe passage for a whole bunch of us. And I don't mean us as in Puerto Rican and Black. I mean people who just said, okay, I think because we don't have true consent, I think we at least have enough consent to say, listen, I don't want to be a part of this. And if the people who want to be a part of this want to stay, they can stay, but we can leave. So it's a lot. Look at the videos. I want to come on your show again because I have some wanted posters that I created for all the people who did the dastardly deeds in Baltimore. Because again, they got nice houses and they're all rich because they don't mind people living in cages. But it's hard being rich and being the pillar of your community when everybody knows you fucked an 11-year-old little boy. So people get to look at you the same way. You're becoming a nigger. So you're a nigger now. And hopefully that'll maybe give you some compassion to realize that those people in cages are niggas. And I don't mean niggas skin color. I mean anybody you can just throw away. And you threw them away. And you can't do that. And it's like, you shouldn't even want to be a part of it. But it goes back to it. And the last thing I want to mention, this prison thing, another reason why they needed me out of the prisons, why they had to get me out of the prisons, because I was training the inmates. With the prison system, the biggest issue is recidivism, because prison inmates, when you gotta say you're a felon, you can't get a job. So I was training them where they can make the glasses in the prison and start getting paid in the prison. And when they're released, they have a trained, certified career where they're making money immediately. So guess what? Can't have that, because it breaks that system. So the technology that I have, the system, even though it's in the system, they're trying to hide it because they know that it breaks that system. So I'm connected to a couple of different systems. And once one breaks, all of them break. And I get to move to Africa and live in a yurt. That's it. And play with my kids. And everybody else in the world can do what they want to do. But the world, everyone's truly gonna be free. Meaning that they can choose to be a part of a system, or they can choose to walk away. And I think right now, I would say in October, 4 million people quit their jobs in October in America. And they did that obviously because they're not taking that shot. So if they're not doing that, I'm not saying where I am, but if you go to the Mexican border, it's 6 hours long for people who are Americans, because they know what's coming. In Texas, not safe people.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So next time I have an interview on my show, because I'm on Rumble, and you know what, my beacon wanted you to do our numbers. And I like.
Yeah, I was looking at them, but like I said, I was so focused on this, like I was just going down a rabbit hole. But yeah, definitely next time around, I'll speak more on, do the medical astrology, do your numbers, all that good stuff when it comes to the stars, because all the answers in the stars, you know what I mean? We'll definitely do it up, man. But I truly, truly appreciate you coming on and sharing your knowledge, sharing your love, your wisdom, and just being who you are, man. It's amazing, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, brother, I appreciate you. And that thing with the macaroni. Listen, I haven't spoken to anybody on the phone in probably more than a month and a half. And I saw that thing with the macaroni, brother. Brother, you got a set of eyes on you. And I want to send you some things to look at, because some things that when I'm looking at Basquiat, I can only look at them for a couple hours before I start going crazy.
Right.
Brother, you got a set of eyes on you. And I cannot wait to continue this conversation. And I love that you have a small following, because I don't care how many people are watching, because this is history being made. So I think it's that much better. And it's authentic, because I'm actually choking off the smoke. That's real. I'm not fake choking off the smoke, baby. It's real smoke. You know, who am I? That's smoke. So I want to give a big shout out to you, brother. And if you allow me, you give me your information. I want to send my information to your viewers, and I'm gonna send you some glasses. So this career that we offer to humanity, basically, I'm getting my page set up, but this is the equivalent of an eye doctor. Right. I can make your 20-year-old daughter, I can make her an eye doctor in one day. I can give her the ability to do a full eye exam and make a pair of glasses in under 3 minutes, better than any eye doctor in any machine in the world, for just $5. She can make more money in one day as a CSG than being an eye doctor, except she ain't got to go to college, she ain't got to get no student loans. So I'm doing all this for free.
No, we'll talk more off camera, because I've actually been on the side. I know exactly,
Yeah, so I'm giving that to humanity. Here's the thing. I just got a real big contract, and this all goes back to everyone. Like, I don't care about none of this shit. Only thing I want to do is heal and talk shit and make niggas. That's it. I just want to make some niggas, you know? So, and I don't want, so as people find out about it, you know, and they're doing this, just word of mouth. And I'm encouraging people to tell your enemy about it. Tell your enemy about it, because your enemy is not your enemy. Your enemy is a person who you're competing with against resources, and you're competing against them working against resources, not your enemy. If you're not competing against each other, you might realize your best friend might be even your soulmate. Right. Can you dig it? So yes, brother, I salute you. And we're gonna do this together real soon, because I like the pace what you're going, but understand that it's gonna get a bunch of eyes on it, because it has to, because I have a big announcement. No, but let everybody know about the scurvy. Let them know, man, get those oranges. And for the people who are older, they can get a nebulizer. Get a nebulizer and put the nebulizer mask over the nose. And I'm sure just the regular nebulizer. Get some lemon, some lime. Just get a regular lime, and squeeze some lime juice in. Go and get some liquid iron and some salt, and have them put it on in the morning when they first wake up before they eat, and right before they go to sleep. They're going to sleep fantastically. Also, they can add a little bit of mint to it, just a little bit of mint to it. Man, everything cleans you up, clears you up, and it gives you that vitamin C. Do that. Any underlying illness you're going to have is going to go away on its own. You ain't going to need no medicine. So, and the last one thing, the hospital's hustling you. The best cure is not eating. Not eating and not drinking cures you more than anything else. Right. That's why when you go to the hospital, they always stall you and tell you, we're going to feed you in 3 hours. 3 hours go past. They'll say, okay, all right, fine. What do you want? They're stalling you. And what's happening is they know that if you sit and just don't eat, your body is going to kick into mode and start healing on its own. And that's the reason why they tell you to not eat before surgeries and not have anything in your stomach and come in the morning, because it goes into exhaustion, it goes into starvation mode, and it starts healing on its own. Your body's doing all the work and they're taking all the credit for it.
That's all they're doing. Yeah, you paying them to teach you how to fast. That's all they're doing.
That's it. You're paying them to teach you how to fast. There's a guy, Elaton Elohim. He's a breatharian. He hasn't eaten in 3 years. And he walks you through. He explains to you the reason why you go to sleep at night is because you eat dinner. But humanity got enslaved when humanity started eating. Look at the book of Eden. That's the first story, Garden of Eden. They talk about they ate from the fruit. But what did they eat before they started eating from the fruit? They didn't eat. They said the earth was barren. It was just manna. So humanity got enslaved when it started eating. That's how they got the Zulus. They started eating. So the way humanity heals itself, eat less, heal ourselves, and tell the truth, love, and call and make niggas. You gotta make niggas. Make some niggas. And clear and fix blindness too. You know, why you at it. No, you know, so I'm gonna let you go ahead. What state are you again, brother?
I'm in Florida. I'm in Orlando.
Okay, I was living there. I lived right off of Cimarron Boulevard.
Cimarron, yeah.
Cimarron, yeah, I lived there when I did the Florida contract. I lived in Orlando so I can get to the entire state. So I was your neighbor. I was there when they killed Trayvon Martin.
I was actually living in Sanford when that happened. I was living at the apartment down the block.
I was 10 minutes away from you doing the Florida contract. So small world. We probably seen some of the same people.
Probably.
Maybe. Cross paths. Maybe we seen each other in Disney World, all that sex trafficking going on, that donut shop there. That Voodoo Donuts, nothing but kids touching kids.
No donuts. No donuts.
That's in Disney too. So I'm gonna let you go and do your thing. My son is doing his thing.
Man, I appreciate you. Bless you and your family, and give a big shout out to your beacon for setting all this up. Tell her thank you. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, and the wanted posters, I want you to understand that they are in the toilets of the dirtiest bathrooms in Baltimore, like a place called Mondawmin, Lexington Market. I mean, all the places where all the people, the heroin addicts go. I got them in all the bathrooms because people gonna know who you are, and they gotta know what you're gonna do. And you want to live in a nice, fancy house. Well, if you don't want people to know what you did, I want you to go to the dirty toilets and take your posters down. Because you want it.
Now, for everybody watching, the last thing I want to say, like, if you really don't understand what he's saying about just loving people and just making niggas, that it's a playbook right out of the Bible. That what do you think Jesus was doing? He knew his power. He was all love, but what did he go out there, flip tables, call people out? That's what you got to do.
Listen. People want to be seen a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be seen a certain way. And the last thing they want you to do is to see who they really are. So you know what? If you are doing this against humanity, let me show you who you are. Yeah. So now you get to walk around with the same burden you placed on the people you did it to. So whatever you're doing to humanity is going to get done back to you. So if you love humanity, that's it. Dig it. Can you dig it?
Thank you once again.
Absolutely.
And we'll do this again. Absolutely. But
yeah, I'm gonna bring you on mine. I'm gonna bring you on mine on Rumble because it's crazy in Rumble. So
well, I'm on Rumble. I'm on Rumble.
Perfect. So we're gonna do this again, and you can do. We wanted you to do our things and walk us through. And by the next time, I'm gonna try to have a haircut because I want my woman looking at you. I'm looking like I've been hanging out with Crump.
And this ain't I ain't cut my hair in almost a year now. This is crazy back here.
So. Yeah, well, we forced it. So we'll do this real soon, and I'm gonna get those videos to you and share those posters. They're quite lovable, and they're gonna be collector's items.
No, absolutely, just send them to me.
Perfect. All right, brother. Talk to you soon.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Let me end this meeting here.